tests weren't widely available, so I couldn't test for if that's what was it. We were kind of hearing whispers about it. It wasn't really in Canada at that point, so I just, flu season, whatever.
Yeah.
Again, I was at U of T at this point. I just returned from the winter break. U of T has a large student population, large international population.
Yeah.
A lot of people coming in from all over the world. And a couple weeks after coming back from winter break, I want to step a few steps this way.
Where do we want it?
No!
Freedom!
Few weeks coming after winter break, I got sick. The typical symptoms. 4 days, I was pretty much bedridden with a flu and fever. Day 5, I was fine. About a month later, we're shutting down for all this. And again, my background, I was working as a personal trainer and in school at the time.
Wow.
So, a little bit of, again, some of my own bias based on what industry and line of work and my education, my perspective might be different than the average person. But again, some of that is, I have the education background to critically analyze what's going on. And have an opinion on how we can be handling this situation. Again, right from the start, I was in my placements with U of T when all this broke out, and I'm looking into the research and being instructed by my placement supervisor to look into some of the research on previous respiratory virus pandemics and what played factors into how we got out of that, who was getting sick, and a lot of that stuff we're seeing coming out a year, 2 years later on pre-existing conditions, how obesity, inactive lifestyles, poor diet, inflammation, and inflammatory conditions in general will contribute to, getting severely ill from COVID. And again, I talk about some of my biases, and maybe everyone's experience with this has been different. And my experience is, my job has been affected, my school is affected. I got sick, and I've got natural immunity, and now I can't go into a gym and a restaurant. Just the fear mongering, the separation, the division, it's just all the things we've done to handle this situation have exacerbated the very things that could have made people healthier.
Yeah.
We've shut down gyms when we know that obesity and pre-existing conditions are the very things that make some of the very things that make
factor.
people more susceptible, or more vulnerable to severe illness. Wow, my brain's kind of going all over the place right now.
No, that's fine, man.
First time in a little while that I've just kind of had the freedom to just kind of rant freely.
For sure.
I'll try to bring it back to why
Be
am
probably
I,
labeled
why
as
am
a
I
conspiracy
here?
theorist, right?
Yeah, I've been labeled that many times, but I've been open to having these conversations, and I've objected to that term and that conclusion, and been willing to have open conversations with people on why is that your assumption?
Yeah.
Without actually hearing out what I have to say. And often when I lay out my educational background, that conclusion kind of goes away, and people are often a little bit more willing to listen to what I say. There's been a few points I've jumped back to many times, often about the things that we're doing now. Again, something I just said a couple minutes ago is the things we're doing now have kind of exacerbated the very things that could have been helping people. We're seeing these things that our leaders are doing, shutting down gyms, and we're doing the same things over and over again. We're not seeing the results that we're expecting. The goalposts keep getting pushed.
There's not enough data, right?
Ask me another question, 'cause I'm a little bit lost here on. I'm losing track.
I mean, I'm hearing. I think the John Hopkins school, I believe the study said how lockdowns have not even done any effect.
Little to no effect.
Exactly.
If you think about it, particularly early on, and I've always tried to come into middle grounds here, which when you don't know what you're dealing with and you're trying to reduce social contact and not overwhelm the healthcare systems, that makes sense.
Of course.
When you don't know what we're dealing with, but the problem is we never change course. And when we found out we were dealing with a mouse, we tried to kill the mouse with a missile, and we've missed the mouse. The missile went off, has caused all this other harm, and the mouse is still running around.
I like that analogy.
Screwing with us. And our politicians and our health leaders are pointing at, it's almost like they're pointing at this mouse, saying we got to do all these things and it's going to stop the mouse, and if we just hide in our homes, the mouse will go away. But if we hide in our homes, the mouse has no reason to run away because it has nothing to be scared of.
Exactly. That's a good analogy.
Finish off that analogy. The shortened version of it is the way we've handled this situation is we've tried to kill a mouse with a missile, and we missed the mouse, and it's still running around, and the missile is blown up and caused all this other harm. So particularly again early on, you don't know what you're dealing with. You're trying to reduce social contact and not overwhelm the healthcare systems. Makes sense. We didn't change course, and that offset, if you're reducing social contact, and that reduces cases, which again is a whole other conversation. If you're just talking about cases, that in itself means very little, because you see cases escalate, but hospitalization rates stay the same or decline, which is something we should be looking at and be encouraged by. But at points like that, they're still focusing on cases. So again, we didn't change course. And even if lockdowns reduce case numbers, if they cause an offset of harm in all these other areas, why do we continue doing them? If we're delaying cancer screenings and treatments, cardiovascular surgeries. I myself, here's another thing, again, part of my personal experience, which again, everyone's experience is different. I actually was booked for a orthopedic surgery on my wrist from a sports injury.
Okay.
And I had all my imaging done. And right before my surgery, they shut down elective surgeries. This was in the time that I was still doing my master's degree. Our courses got moved online, which everyone in my program opposed, and our school didn't give us an inch. They wouldn't budge. And so we were forced to do all our courses online. It was uncomfortable for me to type because I had a screw sticking out of my bone in my wrist. And I had to wait an additional 4 months for surgery while doing online school in extreme pain.
Wow.
So again, just all these little things. That's I'm not going to bitch and complain about that now. It's just part of my experience.
Yeah.
I got my surgery. I'm very thankful for our healthcare system that I was able to get that surgery. But the point was, we moved our school online, which is again a whole other conversation. The effects that's having on kids,
of course,
and particularly very young kids.
Mental health,
I'm a grown up now, so I'm not still developing my communication skills and my social skills nearly as much.
So
maybe,
true.
As the young kids who have been shut home for the better part of 2 years now. And again, that's just a small part of my experience. And we need to look at the cost benefit of what we're doing. And we haven't changed course. And I'm here because, again, I'll try to bring it back and summarize why I'm here, because I believe my voice and my background, I'm able to articulate some things to, maybe get some people who haven't thought about certain things to think about certain things, or think about things in a different way.
You sound like you're planting seeds, yo.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Maybe meet some people, some
awesome.
Like-minded people.
That's awesome.
Add to the numbers out here, show that the message out here is of love and freedom. For all people, for all Canadians, for people all around the world, because this is not just a problem here in Canada. This has been a problem globally for 2 years now, which ironically we're seeing countries all around the world drop all restrictions, mandates, which is another reason why I'm here. Why have we been so behind the curve? Why are we seeing all these things come out now? Why have so many people been censored, been shamed for speaking their mind, for the very things that we're seeing mainstream media and politicians come out and say now? They're admitting because they're feeling the pressure, and they're trying to cover their asses, basically. The very things that people have been shamed and censored and ostracized and mistreated for expressing their concerns for how the situation is being handled. We're seeing those very things being kind of admitted and moved forward with by politicians, countries around the world. And these are the things we wanted to see. We're seeing happen around the world now, and we need to see that happen here. Even though it's too late, And those people need to be held accounted for. We need explanations.
Yeah.
We need to know why this took so long for us to change course. And I guess that's another reason why I'm here. It's just to expand the conversation.
For
beyond,
sure.
Drop the mandates and move on, because there needs to be accountability. This whole thing has been a mess, has caused so much harm that this can't happen again. We need to move beyond. We need to learn from this situation. We need to learn from what we've gone through. We need to have more open conversations with maybe people who have different views than us.
Of course.
And people who hold different expertise than us, different backgrounds, and have different experiences than us. Because like I said, we've all had different experiences. I myself haven't lost anyone close, but the restrictions and measures that we've taken have greatly affected my life. So I'm very aware that my experience is different than many people's experience.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm here to continue that conversation and push that forward with just what, science background I have and my experiences.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, you mentioned with you having science background, what do you say to people when they say trust the science, trust the science? Like, I swear science always evolves. Science is to be debated, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Part of the pinnacle of science is that it's evolving. Many years ago, actually, I was gonna say, I'll bring it up anyway. Actually,
no, go ahead.
At one point, the science was telling us that cigarettes were good for pregnant women.
I remember that.
At one point, science was telling us that glyphosate was healthy for us. At one point, the science was telling us that dietary fat is causing obesity. At one point, the science was telling us that chemical fertilizers for our lawns were safe.
Mm-hmm.
The science is always evolving, and we've abandoned part of the pinnacle of science is that science needs open discussion, needs dissenting voices, needs expertise from all different areas, and needs open discussion. Another thing, I'm not sure if I've actually said this in the last few minutes since we've been chatting, but another thing that I like to bring up is that if you can't question the science, it's really not science, it's propaganda. Because again, part of the pinnacle of science is open discussion and that it's evolving. So being repeatedly told to trust the science, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. The very people that are telling us to trust the science aren't actually showing us any science. They're not allowing us to discuss the science. How are we supposed to trust it if we can't ask the questions?
Wow.
That's what I say about trust the science is you want our trust, allow us to ask very basic questions about what does the science involve? What are the ramifications of this? Who's responsible for any repercussions, any damages, health, economic, whatever it may be? If you want trust, trust is a two-way street. That has nothing to do with science. That's just basic humanity. Trust is a two-way street. If you want us to trust the science, you need to trust us that we're acting in our own best interest, and hell, the powers that be, the government, the media that's been asking us to trust the science, they clearly don't trust us because they don't want us asking questions. They don't trust that we're acting on our own beliefs and what we believe is our own best interest for ourselves and our community and our family members. Mm-hmm. Because I truly believe that's what most of the people here are doing. So most of the people who are voluntarily, I hope for the most part, getting vaccinated, believe they're doing to protect themselves and their community, which is an evolving conversation, whether that does anything to protect others, which is, again, part of the reason why I'm here. We've been told by the science that vaccinated people couldn't catch or spread COVID. And the science has evolved. So if you want us to trust the science, trust the people back, that we are trying to act in our own best interest. We are trying to protect ourselves. We want to live happy, healthy, and freely. We want our friends and family to live happy, healthy, and freely. Trust that the majority of Canadians are inclusive people. I was trying to think of how to say that. Trust the majority of Canadians are inclusive and want the best for themselves and want to.
And they want to be responsible.
Want to be responsible. Want to be responsible for themselves. And do what they can, and not what they're told to help their community and their family and loved ones. Trust that the majority of people will do what they can to protect themselves and their community and their loved ones. Everything that they can do in their power that they're aware of, I believe most people will do. They believe that the risk-reward profile suits them, and they are able to take action to protect themselves and their community, whatever it may be. Trust that people will do that, and trust that when we're asking questions, we simply want to understand. And trust is a two-way street, whether it be science, media, whatever it is.
Academia. Yeah.
Bring it back to trust the science. Trust is a two-way street. That's what I'll say.
All right, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'm getting a little cold.
Yeah.
A couple of my friends